So I wanted to do this like a week ago or more, but I just wanted to talk about Harper Lee and the new book that's coming out or came out already. Um, it's basically the prequel to Kill a Mockingbird. It's called Go Set a Watchman. But I mean, awesome timing for it to come out, with all the racist shootings and everything else, the Civil War stuff we've been talking about, tons of stuff. So I just want to take a look at it here. So I guess first thing I want to point out, Harper Lee, born on the 118th day of the year in 1926. So 11/8 of 1926, and she is 89 years old, just like Queen Elizabeth II. Actually, only 7 days younger than Queen Elizabeth. But she's famous for writing the book To Kill a Mockingbird. So, funny, so she published this book in 1960. It was the only book that she published. And it came out on July 11th, 1960. So if she was born in April of 1926, that means she was 34 years old when this book came out. And I've talked about these numerous times in the past couple of weeks. Like Abraham Lincoln, so Civil War, right? Born on the 43rd day of the year, became president on 3/4. Just Kansas became the 34th state 43 days before Abraham Lincoln became president on 3/4. The first death in the Civil War was in Charleston. That adds up to 43. Civil War adds up to 43. The all this stuff. I mean, it's just craziness. I've talked about it before. Even the word 34 adds up to 61, and the war was in 1861. Obama was born in 61. Michael J. Fox, I've talked about the Lupercalia connection and the fox and the teen wolf and whatnot. He was born in 61. The Queen's mom was born exactly 61 years to the day before Obama. But yeah, so interesting, I guess, that she was 34 years old when this book came out, her only book. And I mean, think about some of the characters in this book. I assume almost everybody that I know has read this book. I think we even had to read it in high school or junior high or one of them. Can't even remember, but I know we had to read this book. It was like a huge book or whatever. And it's about a race trial. It's about a black man being wrongly accused or whatever. But let's look at, I mean, so Boo Radley is basically like he saves the day or whatever at the end. They all think he's bad or whatever, and his name in gematria adds up to 43. The lawyer or the dad, and the reason this is interesting is because in this new book, Go Set a Watchman, the dad is actually like more of a racist, and in this book, he was like the lawyer who was caring or whatever, and actually was made out to be like this, this good, whatever, non-racist guy. He was, but then in this new one, all of a sudden he's racist. It's pretty weird. But anyway, his name adds up to 52 and 133, just like the guy who just won the British Open or the Open today. And this was the guy who won the Open today, or the British Open. And look, 133, 52, 133, 52. No idea. I was going to make this video a week ago, so weird that happened today. And I looked up this guy, whatever, same numbers. But 52 is significant with the Queen. We've talked about tons of times. 52nd prime is 239, which if you read it as a date, it's the same as 923, a date that there's been foreshadowed that something big is going to happen. It's been placed in tons of the media and movies and everything else. Also, the number 133, talked about it before, but if you do that, write that out as a date, 313 or whatever, 13-3. That's the day that Pope Francis became the Pope in 2013. So interesting. And then even if you add 923 days to that day, it comes out to 9/22 of 2015. And the Pope is coming this night or whatever, or this day, or this night. I've read multiple articles and none of them are completely definitive. Also, look at Harper Lee. The name Harper Lee adds up to 52 and 88. I mean, give me a break. What is with all these 52s? I mean, I've explained it multiple times, but seriously. And then an 88 in there. Even like Scout Finch adds up to 118, 11, 8, which is 88. But it also says that, so Harper Lee was born in 1926, but it says they made a movie of this book in 1962, The Mirror of 26. So then it says in February 2015, at age 88, after a lifetime of maintaining that she would never publish another novel, Lee released a statement through her lawyer confirming publication of a second novel, Go Set a Watchman, written before To Kill a Mockingbird, which was released in July 2015. Interesting that she changed her mind and wrote a book, and at the age of, and changed her mind to publish this book at the age of 88. It's funny about this book. So this is her new book, Go Set a Watchman. If you add it up, it actually adds up to 51. Just showing you, it adds up to 51. I've talked about, there's a whole bunch of 51 stuff dealing with Freddie Gray, Kanye West, which actually makes sense to a different video I'm going to do about Gray again. I just haven't got around to it, but it all deals with the whole Bohemian Rhapsody thing and getting the mic stolen from him. And actually going to talk about Corey Taylor, because he was the only celebrity that came out and complained because Kanye said he was the best rock star in the world or whatever. Confederates, 51, whatever, just making a point that I've talked about it before. Or I guess also the name of the book comes from Isaiah 21:6. Interesting, because 216 is 216 is 6 times 6 times 6. But you scroll down here and you find out it says controversy. Some publications have called the timing of the book suspicious, citing Lee's declining health. Statements she made over several decades that she would not write or release another novel, and the death of her sister just 2 months before the announcement. Basically, they're just says that they were raising questions whether she's being taken advantage of in her old age, and blah blah blah. And that's why they're saying it's suspicious. They're not saying that it's suspicious that all these race things are happening in the news every day, constantly, and then they're coming out with a book that has to do with race and a race trial and everything else. I mean, that's so ridiculous. When I seen that it said suspicious, that's what I thought. And now they're just saying, oh, she's getting taken advantage of in her old age, like B.B. King or whatever. And we knew B.B. King was going to get killed. I mean, we talked about that over a year ago. Can't believe he didn't die at the age of 88. But, of course, he died at age 89, which is even more significant this year. So, interesting. Even like the cover of this book, we just had the Philadelphia train wreck or Amtrak, whatever. And the cover is the train going down the track. So I just thought that was kind of weird. It says it's 278 pages long also. I mean, if you break that up to a date, 27-8, that's the 239th day of the year. We've been talking about 9/23 and 2/39 and whatnot. So interesting that they would come out this year as well. It says the novel follows an adult Jean Louise Scout Finch who travels from New York to Macomb, Alabama to visit her father Atticus Finch, blah, 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 blah. Jean Louise follows her, whatever. So Jean Louise, I added Jean Louise up, and she was living in New York and came to Macomb, Alabama. Jean Louise adds up to 111. New York adds up to 111. Jean Louise Finch adds up to 151, just like Valentine's Day. 151 is also um, King James died 151 years before July 4th, 1776. But also I said Scout Finch was 118, 11-8. Harper Lee was born on the 118th day of the year. So 118th day, Scout, and she's basically portraying, the story is basically about her being this girl, faking it or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, this is basically like, kind of like a true story to an extent, and she's basically this character. So interesting. This person adds up to 118, and she was born on the 118th day. But I want to come back to Kill a Mockingbird here. They actually says that in 1949, Lee moved to New York City and took a job, blah, blah, blah. Having written several long stories, Lee found an agent in November 1956. The following month, at Michael Brown's East 50th Street townhouse, she received a gift of a year's wages from friends with a note. You have 1 year off from your job to write whatever you please. Merry Christmas. Wow, wouldn't that be nice? I mean, so she was at Michael Brown's house. This guy is Michael Brown, just like Michael Brown, who just got murdered supposedly in Ferguson. I mean, come on. He even died last summer, and that was 59 days before Michael Brown died on 8/9, the 89 or whatever. So interesting, and that it was 59 days. I mean, 59 and black people and whatnot, so interesting. And June 11th is 6/11. I talked about before about the 6th prime was 13 and the 11th prime was 31, the mirrors. But I never read that far into this, but it says the guy's name was Marion Martin Brown II. So I don't know how you get Michael Brown out of that. I mean, you think they'd call him like just Martin or Marion or whatever? How in the world will they get Michael out of that? I don't know. Weird. Or I guess, who knows, maybe Michael is short for Marion. I don't have a clue. But anyway, yeah, just wanted to point that out. It was Michael Brown. And she got a whole year off from her friends, which that sounds so unrealistic to me. I don't know anybody that would do that. Maybe it was because it was so long ago. Who knows? To Kill a Mockingbird was even published or whatever. It was published by Lippincott. Let me find it here. Yeah, the publisher Lippincott, and that was in Philadelphia. I mean, interesting. Philadelphia. She's not even from remotely close to there. So the book, if we've been talking about Philadelphia, like how much, and then she's from Monroeville, Alabama, and she gets her book published in Philadelphia about racism. I mean, there's just a ton of stuff. There's even a part in here somewhere where it talked about her book being more popular than the Bible or something, or maybe more read, or I can't remember the exact wording, but it was something to do with it was basically more popular than the Bible. She even got a Presidential Medal of Freedom for the book on November 5th, 11/5/2007. And it even won the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction in 1961. So we talked about 61, 34, even 61, whatever, tons of times. Another thing she did was she assisted close friend Truman Capote in his research for the book In Cold Blood. They came out in 1966, so 49 years ago. He died in 1984 at the age of 59. And the book that she helped him on, In Cold Blood, details the 1959 murders of Herbert Clutter and his Holcomb, Kansas family, basically. And I've talked about Kansas and the Civil War and whatnot. And then he was 59 years old when he died, and he was famous for writing this story about the murders in 1959. The book is even 343 pages long. 34, 43. The book In Cold Blood even adds up to 51, just like the new book that I'm talking about, Go Set a Watchman, 51. But yeah, just wanted to point out more Civil War stuff, more Civil War type theme, racist themes. They've been putting in like crazy, and this was one of them. So have a great